Welcome to Hoodies, the podcast. We go deeper than blast. Yo, shout out to Ronald Lewis Jr. Ronald Lewis Jr. Him and his pop been coming to skill for some years, for a long time. You know, when Ronald Lewis Jr. was, you know what I'm saying, was young as hell. You know what I mean? And his pop, Ronald Sr., he was the first one to use his phone to pay. It was the first time we ever seen it before Apple Pay and Samsung Pay and all that got big. He was the first one to, you know, to pay using his phone, you know, using the Square app or whatever. He was the first one to do it. I want to say around the end of last year, he came in, got a cut. I hooked him up, cut and shave. He had just gotten his degree. I can't remember if it was his bachelor's or master's. You know what I'm saying? Goes to show how much I listen, right? But he had just gotten his degree. He was feeling really good about himself. You know what I mean? He had this swagger like, you know, hey, the price is going up. Yesterday's price ain't today's price. That was the type of energy he gave off. He was, you know what I'm saying? He was feeling real good. He got the cut and everything. And I think this was a Friday. And I think a Friday or Saturday, and the ceremony was coming soon, either the next day or that weekend, whatever. So his son, Ron Jr., comes in a few months ago. And he comes in, he sits down. I'm cutting his hair, whatever. And, you know, so we chop it up, we talk, we catching up. And I asked him, so how's your pop? You know, I know he was feeling real good the last time he came in, you know, just getting his degree and all. He says to me, yo, man, my pop died. And of course I was shocked, like, yo, what? Yeah, he was like, yeah, you know, my pop died. You know what I'm saying? His pop battled with high blood pressure, and I want to say a couple other things. He got COVID, and he didn't make it out. He didn't make it home. So so it was extremely unexpected, according to Ron Jr. You know what I'm saying? And as I was cutting his hair, you know, I was trying to fight back tears. You know, I had just seen this man. You know, at the time, it hadn't even been a whole 6 months since I had seen him last, and he was gone. But so he was telling me about his old man having some clippers and some trimmers, or whatever, and we got on that subject of, you know, his pop having clippers. Was like a few months later when he came in after, you know, telling me that his old man had transitioned. I don't know how we got on the subject, but I think he asked me like, yo, how long you been here? And I was like, man, it's coming up on 8 years. And it was like less than a week before the 8-year mark came. He was like, oh yeah, a word, 8 years? Man, I've been getting my hair cut here for, man, since what seems like forever. Anyway, he leaves, he comes back, and he's got this box open, and in the box is a pair of clippers. And I don't know if you're familiar with clippers, but they were some Babyliss Pros, not the trimmers, the clippers. If you know, you know. And he was like, "Yo, these was my pops. You know, I want you to have them. I want you to have them." Man, I was so touched. He was just like, you know, I'm not a barber. I'm not really gonna do nothing with them, and you know. Who better a person to give him to than the man who used to cut us both, and the man that keeps me fresh. So that was a very touching moment. Normally I just, you know, shake your hand, dap you up, and give you the half hug. But in this case, of course, you know, I hugged that young brother. That was, you know, very sentimental, obviously, but, you know, I felt honored. You know, when he handed me some clippers that belonged to his old man. And his old man had been my client since forever. And, you know what I mean? You think it would be something he would want to keep for himself as a souvenir. But he gifted me with them. And that's yet another thing that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful to have obviously made an impact in his life. In fact, I'm grateful for all the impacts that I've made. Every year around graduation time, young men be like wanting to invite me to their family dinner or something like that. I guess you can say I'm like an uncle to a lot of these young brothers. Shout out to Ron Lewis Jr., man. Word up. And the spirit of his old man, Ron Sr. Word. I'm grateful for every barber, and I know I'm always talking about barber, but what you want me to tell you? What you want me to talk about? I'm a barber, and on top of that, I'm a shop owner. So of course, that's my world. That's my lane. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. So, but yeah, I'm grateful for every barber that didn't work out because it made me wiser. It made me wiser. It taught me what to share, what not to share. It taught me who to share things with and who not to share things with. You know what I'm saying? Um, I used to I used to make sure every new barber, you know what I'm saying, whether fresh out of a barber shop, whether fresh out of barber school, about to start school or completed school. You know what I mean? Some of them are in between worlds. In between worlds, like, they completed school, but they haven't taken the state board exam yet. The state board exam, I imagine, is just like taking like the state board for like being a RN or something like that. And I guess LPN and all of them. You got to take your state board exam to get certified. So some barbers are in between, in limbo in the middle. They finished school, but they haven't taken the state board exam and gotten licensed yet. I hook them up with a smock with their name on it and with the shop logo on it. I break them off with a cape with the shop logo on it. I break them off with a reduced booth rent until they get some clientele because they fresh out of school or haven't really been in a shop like that, so they still trying to build their clientele. So I break them off with a reduced booth rent so they can get their weight up. You know what I mean? Trying to set them up for success. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing all of that, and they just coming through the door like, hey, got any chairs open? I, you know, listen, I'm gifting random barbers, if you will, and with all of that, all of the things I just mentioned, and they're not even earning it. They haven't done anything to even prove that they deserve all of that. I'm setting them up for success, and I haven't yet seen them. I haven't seen their work ethic yet. I haven't even seen them try to set themselves up for success. You know what I'm saying? Like, they haven't even proven themselves worthy of even being here, and I'm doing all of that. So, you know how some people's plans to start a business, like their business don't work, or they've tried all kinds of things and it failed. It didn't work. You know what I'm saying? Fortunately for me, I haven't had that type of failure. Fortunately for me, I got a decent amount of clientele. So my failure, however, has been in retaining personnel. You know what I'm saying? Keeping personnel around. And by the way, what I mean by knowing what to share, what not to share, who to share it with, and who not to share it with. Okay, what I mean by that is, like, I used to share my plight, like, as far as my road to becoming a barber, right? I would talk about getting up at dark 30, still dark outside, taking 3 buses because I wasn't driving at the time. I made mention in the Guam podcast about how when I got out the military, I needed to find my way. I need to get my shit together as a civilian now. None of the other things I, had planned had worked out. I wanted to go to film school. I wanted to do the firefighting thing, and none of those things worked out. Right? So there was a minute working odd jobs and just trying to get my shit together. So, so I wasn't driving anyway. So I would take 3 buses to go across the water, you know what I'm saying, from Newport News to Norfolk, and still get there before everybody else. Get back home dark as hell too. Things didn't work out there, so I ended up doing an apprenticeship at a barbershop here from the elder that I spoke about, several pods back. Then I got licensed and then yada, yada, yada. And then I would go into a spill about how, you know what I'm saying, how I got clientele. You know what I mean? I went hard. You know, I was in the shop the days the shop was closed. You know what I mean? I made sure that I was on time. You know, I took everything that came through the fucking door. You know what I'm saying? You know, and the next thing you know, it paid off. You know, and all of that would be my reasoning for saying, look, if you want to make it in this industry, you want to start off with a good work ethic. Start off with a good work ethic. Like, and I would tell them, or ask them rather, like, Saturday mornings, when I did make appointments, of course, Saturday mornings, the parking lot will be full of people already waiting for me before the shop even opens. Like, do you think those people out there waiting for me because they don't trust that I'm gonna be punctual? They're there because they want to be some of the first people to sit in my chair because they know I'm gonna be on time. If they knew I was inconsistent, you know what I'm saying, had a tendency to not show up on time, didn't show up till noon or 1 or whatever the case was, I guarantee you those people wouldn't be out there. They're out there waiting for me because they trust that I'm going to be on time. They trust that I'm going to be punctual. They've grown accustomed to my professionalism. So start with a good work ethic. Start there. Start there. You can never go wrong with a good work ethic. It may sound corny to some, but it's tried and true for me. So as far as I'm concerned, that's not an old school way of looking at it. At anything. That's not an old school concept because it still works for me to this day. So what I'm saying is I've learned to not share that with everybody. I had to think and realize that's a conversation I should have once, like I said, once a person has proven themselves worthy of even being here. You know what I'm saying? You got to see a person's work ethic and see what they talking about. This way you can determine if this person's even worth you getting a cape and spending a little bit of money setting them up. They got to show you that that's where they are first. And that's what I wasn't doing. Not only that, right? Not only that, but in sharing that plight, and of course there's more to it, but in sharing that plight, right? Sharing those stories of how I got to, you could say, where I am now, career-wise, and sharing that. See, sometimes when you talk about your humble beginnings, without you knowing, it could rub certain people the wrong way because some of them are still there. Where you were, some people are still there. You understand? It may feel some type of way now that you're talking about you was there and now you're not. Some people could take that some funny type of way. For some people, believe it or not, you think you're somewhat inspiring them. You think you're somewhat trying to make a point about good work ethic. You know, or sometimes you're just trying to relate to them, to let them know, look, I started out just like you did, sitting, trying to catch what came through the door. That's what your intentions are, but for them, shit, it's weird for them. That seems so far away. For some of them, it sounds like work. And that could discourage them. You feel me? And it sounds weird. It sounds weird as hell. But you gotta be picky in terms of who you share certain information with. Because we don't think much of ourselves. And listen, if you don't like who you see in the mirror, if you don't think very much of yourself, then who are you going to think about people who look like you? You know what I'm saying? And another reason why I've had issues with keeping personnel is that, listen, some of these men, along with women, but a lot of men got issues with their pop. Meaning their pop probably was absent. They pop probably wasn't a good dude. Some of them may have had a step pop. He may not have necessarily been a good dude. Or you know what I'm saying? He probably just was there, but then he wasn't there. So right off rip, they got this thing with authority figures, black male authority figures. And that type of energy can manifest itself in a barbershop, especially in that setting. You know what I'm saying? Like, It can manifest itself every time there's a debate about certain things that come up in the shop, like sports, politics, issues in the black community, etc., etc. Like, let somebody disagree with one of those type of people and then watch them go ape shit. Just do it. And then, of course, because we've been trained to act a certain way towards each other, let somebody white walk into the shop. All of a sudden, they become so patient, ever so patient, ever so cool. All of a sudden, they can take a joke. I'm also grateful for the lesson that you don't know people until you tell them no. I'm still on the subject of my failure keeping personnel, right? I'm grateful for the lesson, you know what I'm saying, of how you don't know people until you tell them no. You know what I'm saying? Listen, if you are an owner / boss, manager, supervisor, which is probably the same thing, team leader, anybody who's got, you know, some folk under your tutelage, right? Listen, if you are deemed as being cool, you know what I'm saying, by the folk who work in your establishment or the folk who you manage or supervise or lead in either your or a establishment, if they deem you as being cool, then 9 times out of 10, they're calling you cool because they can deviate from the rules of engagement and you ain't gonna bug out or nothing. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna say nothing. You let them get away with little infractions here and there. They'll tell their friends and family about you, their spouse about you. Oh shit, Rashidi, he cool. He don't be tripping like that. Rashidi cool. You know what I'm saying? Rashidi's a cool ass dude. But okay, if your goal is to be liked, if you want to be liked, you know what I'm saying, by the people who, if you want to be looked at as the cool guy, the cool boss, the cool manager, the cool owner, just know that them calling you cool, the way they like you, that shit's not real. How they feel about you is not real because it's only conditional. I learned that. I'm grateful for that lesson. You know what I'm saying? Is it okay if I leave early because yada, yada, yada? Yeah, go ahead. Don't even sweat that. Don't worry about it. It's slow anyway. Can I come in late because sure, no doubt. You even got to ask, you know. You cool. That'll go on and on and on. Trust me. That'll go on and on and on. But let you say no. Shop meeting, and in that meet, look, y'all been coming in late, leaving early. Sidebar, grateful sidebar. Listen, if you on reduced booth rent in a barbershop until you get some clientele because you new and you unlicensed, your bum ass needs to be in the shop from open till close. Build up your brand, become an asset, pay full booth rent, and get licensed. Then and only then can you move like a big dog. How you leaving early? Coming in late. Taking long ass breaks and shit. And you ain't even paying full booth rent. And right off rip, you only paying that amount of booth rent off the strength of you not having no clientele. Huh? How do you come in late? You haven't accomplished anything. End of sidebar. You know what I'm saying? Oh, real quick. Let me go back into the sidebar. All right? Click. Check it. That's another thing that I'm grateful about because I cut all that shit out. I cut all that bullshit out. Because now, either you come ready or don't come at all, period. Give a fuck if you can afford booth rent or not. I ain't giving you shit. I ain't giving you shit. Fuck out of here. I ain't giving you shit. Fuck a smock. Fuck a cape. Fuck a reduced boo friend. Hey, are you trying to get in this thing or what? Can I have to start thinking? Nobody do that shit for me. I found my way. Trust me, they'll find theirs. And not to mention, you'll find out who really wants that shit. Okay, end of sidebar again. Anyway, back to the shop meet. You know what I'm saying? Cool it with these long ass breaks. Missing out on money that you could be making to build yourself up. No, you can't do that here. You can't do that here. You got to go in the back. Whatever the infraction is, all those are variations of the word no. Okay? That right there, that's when you come to meet the real personnel in your establishment. Owner, the boss, manager, supervisor, team leader. That's when you come to know the real people, the real personnel in your establishment. That's when you know how they feel about you. You know what I'm saying? So there's a flip side to things, right? First you cool till you say no, right? So bosses, managers, supervisors, team leaders, when the people under you refer to you as being a dick, like when they tell their friends and family, yo, that nigga Rod dick. That nigga Rod's a dick. Damn. This nigga always talking about being an asset and shit. You know what I mean? Trying to get us licensed, talking about... Let me tell you something. This might sound corny as hell. This might sound corny, but if you are in a certain position of like the one I spoke, bosses, managers, supervisors, team leaders, you know what that means, man? You know what it means? It means you doing your fucking job. Anytime you holding it down, maintaining a standard, folk got issues with that. Especially black folk. Toward other black folks in positions of authority. Not so much when it comes to non-black folk who's running shit. And you want to know what's ill? It's ill when non-black folk respect your shit more than your own kind. Come in, work hard, even the days the shop's closed. Remind me of somebody. That really remind me of somebody that I know. You know what I'm saying? Make good with their word. Take the state board exam. Get licensed. Yeah, I got one of those. You know what I'm saying? Leo Alvarez. You know what I mean? Been here since December and he's been on his shit. And listen, man, it's not lost on me that we're conditioned. It's not lost on me. But I'm going to keep it funky and you call me whatever the fuck you want to call me. I ain't sitting around waiting for us to get right before I set myself up to win. I'm not waiting for that. And I'm grateful, ever so grateful to have finally learned that. Finally learned that. I got me a young brother in here, an apprentice, who when he first started off, this dude he ain't know shit about the craft. He ain't know nothing. He had a pair of masters, needed some serious adjusting. The blade and a little joint you turn on the side. If you know about masters, you know what I'm talking about. His Andes, the gray trimmers, the old school gray trimmers that at one point everybody was skeletonizing them. If you know, you know. I mean, Dude didn't know how to do shit. He could barely blend. Didn't really know much about the craft at all. He went from that. Now he can body a fade. He can body a fade. You know what I'm saying? So real quick, I'd like to give some flowers to the young bull, Jared. You know what I mean? And flowers to my man Leo Alvarez for making good on his word. And what I mean by making good on his word, I mean not just working hard, but that's how he came off when he first came here. That's how everybody comes off when they first come here. Some of them come here like, yo, I want to be an asset. I want to be a pillar. I've heard that before. I've had many barbers, many personnel. One day I'm going to write a book. I was going to do a pod on that shit, but a book would be better. A pod wouldn't do it no justice. You know what I'm saying? So flowers to Leo and Jared. You know what I'm saying? Leo for making good on his word and showing up and being who he said he was. And it's obvious he's licensed now. And not to mention, not to put all his business out there, but it took him a couple tries. He could have, listen, he's got reason to, I don't know, you know, the reason he took to keep going, some people would use that as an opportunity to underachieve. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate somebody who has a goal and goes after that shit. I ain't have to get on them, no nothing, as I have with barbers, you know, before. You know what I'm saying? And see, a lot of folk, you know, black-owned businesses ain't gonna tell you that. They gonna make it seem like, oh, we black-owned, everything's cool. It's not. It is not. If you're in that position, you know what I'm talking about. You know more than what I'm talking about right now. I'm gonna tell it to you for real. I got a Guatemalan brother up in here who's more driven than most of the brothers that I've had. I don't feel good at saying that, but that's what it is. I do, however, feel good at having a barber who's legit. I've had other barbers in here with a license. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying for a barber to come in unlicensed and say, hey, I'm in pursuit of getting licensed. Many people have said that, and ain't none of them made good. Well, there was one kid named Kyrie. He was in the Army, so they stopped letting him, you know, get off to come work. He would work from noon till close, but he had a change of command, and they stopped him from doing that. But he did come back later on after he left just to let me know that he had gotten his license. You know what I'm saying? And I was out of town when he came in, but I really appreciated that. Apparently he had a decent amount of respect for me to come back and say thank you and let me know that he got licensed. So, I guess I could count him too. But anyway, so shout out to Leo, shout out to Jared, you know what I'm saying, who's on his way. I told Jared the first time here, you know, me being reluctant because he's my apprentice, you know, me being reluctant to do that again because I've had a couple of apprentices who didn't make good, you know what I'm saying? Some of them showed me pictures of their work and get them in here and give them a haircut like the one they showed me, and they can't even do that shit. Man, come on, you deceived me, fam. I had a few of them who didn't work out, so of course me being reluctant to do this one, and I ain't gonna tolerate no bullshit. Of course, you know, I'm like, hey, right off rip, I'm only gonna stay as interested in this as you. Only as interested as you. The minute I see that you falling off or you losing interest, I'm done. And he's maintained. He's got one more semester of the apprenticeship school, and I'm going to get him ready for the state board exam. So far, like I said, he came in here not knowing shit. Now he can body a fade. He ain't all the way there yet, but he can body a fade. Shit, that's half the battle right there. If you can do a decent blend, you on your way. For real, for real. So word, shout out to them. Hey, I'm grateful for them. You know what I'm saying? Another thing I'm grateful to have learned, and this ain't gonna be very popular at all. And I may have said this on a pod before. Ain't gonna keep y'all too long. But I had this barber here some years ago. His name was Frank. He's from Chicago too, the West Side. I'm getting a feeling like I've said this before, but fuck it, right? So Frank's from the West Side of Chicago. He was here working in the shop. I learned a lot from Frank too. I'm just gonna talk about one of the things, right? When he first came here, I had this young lady who came here, and when he was already working, this young lady who wanted to work here. She didn't cut hair. Well, sure she did, but with shears, and she just did women's hair, right? So when she came here, I remember him saying this like, "Yo, you don't want to work with women. You don't want to work with no females, cause, hey, man, look, just don't do it. Just don't. I did it. Just don't do it." Now me, not knowing, I think by the time when he told me this, I think I had only been in business for about a year and a half, if that. So, me not knowing, me, you know what I mean, just not buying it. I'm like, man, nah, you bugging. You bugging. You don't know what you talking about. You bugging. Maybe you just got the wrong ones. That's how I'm approaching it. Because I had even thought about, man, it'd be real dope if I had a sister up in here that could really cut, that could body a fade, that could body a cut. And it wouldn't help. I mean, it wouldn't hurt rather if she was decent looking, because that way, man, we'd kill the game. We could kill the game. Have a woman in here on my bar, my chairs full, because of course, like I said, I hadn't been open long. So all my chairs weren't even full. So as far as the possibilities and the desires and things that I'd like to be in here it was crazy. So naturally, like I said, I'm telling him, come on, fam, you don't know what you're talking about. I wouldn't mind having a woman up in here. Man. And then I saw an inkling of it from the young lady, from the sister who came to work here while he was here. She came, set up station. I remember, because this is back when I was doing mad shit for people when they came. I went and got her. This was before I got the blow dryer here. I ended up getting a portable joint, the joint on wheels. If you know, you know. So I got that for her, so she's prepared to do what she need to, because I didn't have a blow dryer in here. She spent most of her time at home, not here in the shop. So she called me once. Hey, so anybody come out of shop looking to get their hair done? I said, yeah, one brother came in here with his lady, and she asked if I had a stylist, and I told her, yeah, I did, but she's not here. She said, why didn't you call me? I'm like, call you? I don't understand. I did what I was supposed to do. I set you up. Here's an opportunity to do something great. I set you up. What you mean why I ain't call you? You should be in the shop anyway. So needless to say, that situation didn't last long. She ended up, it's funny, she ended up saying she had to go see some family in New York and that she'd be back. I knew she wasn't. And she left and I knew she wasn't coming back. I don't know what she was expecting to happen, but that was red flag number one. But you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Listen, if I get a female up in here, come on, fam, we're going to change the game. We'll kill the game. Then I get another female in here. Not a good work ethic at all. All the things I spoke about, coming in late, leaving early, long breaks. I would give her clients. I mean, one time she looked at me as that client that I gave her was coming in, and she says to me, can you get him? I don't want him. And, well, forget the work ethic. The first one I talked about Okay, maybe you can't put that on gender. Maybe work ethic is a constant among the sexes. I'm gonna still count that, but poor work ethic is a constant between both sexes. You could be male or female and have a shitty work ethic. But why didn't you call me? Come on, fam. Shitty work ethic, but fuck it. So the second female, can't handle shop discussions without getting emotional. Can't handle real criticism, like, you ain't gonna make it with that work ethic. Oh, you trying to say I ain't gonna make it? Like, wait a minute, I ain't mean it like that. You know what I meant. I mean, you ain't gonna make it with that work ethic. No, forget it. You shouldn't say that to be. Can't, overly sensitive, nitpicky. Why we gotta watch this? Can we turn to something else? Just a pain in the ass. That was number 2. Then number 3 was the elder that in one pod I spoke so highly of. And then in another pod talked about some shit that she did that wasn't cool. And since I'm a stickler about respecting my elders, I'm not going to go in so far with her. But I think I told y'all that one of my clients, an older gentleman, his wife is one of her clients. So I keep finding out stuff that I didn't know before. I guess he just in a talkative mood and he tells me things when I'm cutting his hair. So he revealed to me that shit, she was running her mouth about me behind my back when she was here. Which brings me to my next point. See, I didn't really go into a whole lot of detail. See, I never spoke ill about her, but she was speaking ill about me. I don't know why. Gave her what she needed. Set her up. You know? But the thing is, she was real gossipy. Always gossiping about somebody or something. I should have saw that as a red flag right off the rip. Because if a person's always gossiping all the damn time, what makes you think they're not going to gossip about you? So that I should have known. Same thing though. You ever thought about twisting your hair? It could be so much neater, just so nitpicky. And I could go on further and further, but I won't. I think my point has been made. Brother Frank, if you watching this, which I doubt, but if you watching this, I get it now. You was right. I'm grateful. That's it, man. I can't tell y'all what to do. And again, there's so many things I'm grateful for. I can't tell y'all what to do. I can only suggest. And I suggest you take the time, you know what I'm saying, and think hard. Meditate. And think about the things you're grateful for. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of my thing. I want to show more gratitude. I'm still working on my patience. I'm way better than I used to be. But I try to make it a point to just be grateful, man. Grateful skill is still here. It ain't going nowhere. But finally, I think I'm on the right track with personnel. Because that has been my constant failure. And it took me way too long to figure out what I was doing. Or wasn't doing. You understand? From here on out, the mind them come true here. I'm not give them shit. You come in and prove yourself. This is skill, nigga. I don't even know what a lane is. Welcome to Hoodies, the podcast. We go deep with the blast.